Tonight, searching for certainty.
Look, we have some serious issues that need discussion, and we're going to have that discussion.
What business leaders are hoping to hear when the U.S. ambassador visits Winnipeg next week. Also tonight, more weeds than water.
When you think of a shallow lake like Betula that averages 6 to 8 feet, when you have a 4 or 5 inch drop in water, it's a significant hit.
Can anything be done to preserve one of the Whiteshell's most popular lakes? Plus, paying tribute to the godfather of heavy metal.
I went to the Ozzy Osbourne concert with my friends that night, and he saved my life.
How the Prince of Darkness touched the lives of fans right here in Winnipeg.
CTV News. Live from downtown Winnipeg with Marilee Caruso.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Catherine Dow. Marilee is away. Premier Wabkanu and other leaders say Canada has to make a good deal and not rush a trade agreement with the U.S. An August 1st deadline looms when more tariffs will be slapped on more Canadian products flowing south. Business leaders in Winnipeg are hoping to get clarity on a lot of this strife when the U.S. ambassador to Canada visits the city next week. CTV's Jeff Keel joins us now live. So, Jeff, why is the ambassador coming here?
Pete Hoekstra is speaking at a Winnipeg Chamber of Commerce event where he will take questions. This as he made some controversial comments about Canada. Michelle Leclerc owns Wolseley Kombucha. They brew and bottle fermented tea. She says the trade wars sparked by the U.S. have bumped her costs by 25%.
So any tariff that's added on there, it just comes right out of our pocket.
She says they're eating that increase for now, but can't forever.
Absolutely not. So right now we're okay, but hoping that they come to some sort of trade agreement would be great.
But it's unclear when deals could be reached. The U.S. has imposed tariffs on China and 50% tariffs on Canadian aluminum and steel. And on August 1st, 35% U.S. tariffs are set for more Canadian goods. But Canadian leaders, including Premier Wabkanu, say they can't push an agreement for the sake of a deadline.
I think it's really important for Canada to get a good deal rather than rushing to take any deal, including one that might harm us in the long term.
Many believe 0% is out of reach. Businesses will have to live with some sort of tariff. Trump just made a deal with Japan for 15%.
The evidence suggests that we are looking at a trading relationship going forward that will include tariffs.
All of this is happening as U.S. Ambassador to Canada Pete Hoekstra called out Canadians for boycotting travel to the U.S. and American booze.
Well, there are reasons why the president and some of his team refer to Canada as being mean and nasty to deal with.
Hoekstra is speaking at a Winnipeg Chamber of Commerce event next week, where he will be taking questions.
He's here to deliver America's case to Canada. We are here to press Canada's case to the United States. Sometimes there may be friction points.
And while Michelle Leclerc is still hoping for zero tariffs, she says the renewed Canadian pride that has come out of the trade war with the U.S. has been good for business.
We've seen a 30% increase in sales. So more people are supporting local, more people are drinking less alcohol.
The U.S. ambassador is set to speak on Tuesday afternoon at the Winnipeg Art Gallery, which includes a fireside chat. The chamber says the topics under discussion include trade, security, and the cross-border relationship between the two countries.
All right, thanks for this, Jeff. Water levels at Betula Lake in Whiteshell Provincial Park are nearly half a foot lower than where they should be, and cottagers are concerned about the short and long-term effects. CTV's Daniel Homerson explains.
It's a slice of paradise nestled into Whiteshell Provincial Park.
And it's a beautiful lake. It's not huge, but it's been great.
I mean, the view, like I can just sitting on the dock by the water, it's just so soothing.
For many cottagers like Ryan Galloway, Betula Lake has become a second home.
We got so many great friends and such a wonderful community that, yeah, it's just a special place to be.
But low water levels are causing problems at the lake this summer.
When you think of a shallow lake like Betula that averages 6 to 8 feet, when you have a 4 or 5 inch drop in water, it's a significant hit.
And invasive weeds are running wild, wreaking havoc on boaters and swimmers.
The biggest thing is the long-term viability and the health of the lake. The last thing we want to see is an environmental issue where the lake just becomes so overrun that we can't deal with it.
Betula Lake has a target water level dictated by the province. However, Galloway says 2 fixed weirs downstream aren't able to maintain that level.
The height of the weir needs to change. We need to be able to contain more water for a longer period of time. So in the low seasons, we're able to maintain that level higher.
The Betula Lake Association has already petitioned the province to take action to protect the body of water.
They came back early January and said we'll have a water hydrological study done by the summer, and we haven't heard anything yet. We haven't got any response.
The cottagers say they've taken steps to educate themselves on water stewardship, but they're demanding more help to preserve Betula Lake's future.
Come out and take a look for yourself and see what the ramifications are of inaction.
None of us are experts. And water level is obviously a concern. Perhaps there's more to it than that.
It's really concerning to me. My kids are a 4th generation family out here. And, you know, our goal and our dream is to see generation number 5 enjoying it as much as we did.
Daniel Halmerson, CTV News, Betula Lake.
Aside from raising the height of the weirs, the association wants the province to increase the target water levels and complete a study on invasive species. In an email response to questions, Manitoba Transportation and Infrastructure says it must first analyze how any changes in the outlet could impact lake levels, the shoreline, and nearby properties. It says that work is now underway after being delayed by wildfires. Meantime, the government is making some adjustments to its Agra insurance program to help out drought-stricken livestock producers. Manitoba Agricultural Services Corporation says forage and pasture producers will be able to defer forage insurance claim deduction payments made before August 1st and get partial payments on insurance claims for crops with measurable losses. It also says livestock grazing on uninsured crops won't impact claims. They're also looking to incentivize farmers to convert cereal crops to livestock feed. You can find more information on our website at ctvnewswinnipeg.ca. 10 people are facing charges after RCMP searched a home in Thompson. Mounties say the raid happened last Wednesday at a home on Brandon Crescent. They allegedly seized a handgun, $20,000 in cash, cell phones, cocaine, and other substances that are still undergoing testing. 4 women and 6 men were arrested at the scene, ranging in age from 21 to 42. 4 were from Thompson, and 2 others were from Cross Lake and Lac Brochet. The rest were from different regions in Ontario. They are all facing various drug and firearm offenses. Mourning a legend. Tributes to the late heavy metal icon Ozzy Osbourne have begun pouring in. The 76-year-old frontman of Black Sabbath died on Tuesday. And as CTV's Danton Unger reports, in the wake of his death, Winnipeg fans are cherishing the music he left behind.
In through the window at the world outside.
A tribute to the godfather of heavy metal.
Time after time.
Winnipeg musician David McLean says Ozzy Osbourne holds a special place in his heart.
Ozzy saved my life when I was 14.
It was June 8th, 2003, when McLean saw Osbourne in concert. It was the same day his mother died.
And I wasn't going to go to the concert because I was so sad that my mom had died. But my Uncle Darren said, Dave, you know what? It's all serendipitous. You should go to the Ozzy Osbourne concert.
And ever since, Osbourne's music has brought him closer to his mother.
Mama, I'm Coming Home didn't ever sound so good.
Osbourne, the frontman of Black Sabbath and so-called Prince of Darkness, died Tuesday at the age of 76, just weeks after his farewell show in the UK. In the wake of his passing, his music has been flying off the shelves at the Into the Music record store.
There's like a deep sadness and remorse for really an icon.
Greg Tunn says it's not just here in Winnipeg. Suppliers across the country are selling out of Osbourne's music.
We saw it with people like Prince, and we saw it with Bowie. That there was, or Michael Jackson as well, that there was a kind of frenzy or craziness in the first few months.
He says throughout the day, customers have been coming in and sharing stories and memories of a legend whose crazy train life and legacy has impacted generations.
I think that this cuts deep. for a lot of people, and it's created some really interesting and touching responses.
I'm just a dreamer.
It's a legacy McLean says he will keep on carrying forward.
Thanks for the music, Ozzy.
Danton Unger, CTV News, Winnipeg.
CTV weather specialist Colleen Brady joins us now with the first look at your Skywatch evening forecast. Colleen, a bit of a reprieve, if you will, from the smoke today.
Well, most of Manitoba went to bed last night under an air quality warning, including Winnipeg, and we woke up this morning that way, all but the most northern parts of the province under that air quality warning until just after noon, when it turned out that the smoke wasn't as bad as anticipated in a lot of areas. So all those air quality alerts, those outright warnings ended in many parts of the province, with the exception of the Flin Flon area. So it ended in Winnipeg, it ended in Brandon. Next door, though, they did also remain in effect for northwestern Ontario, where air quality is expected to remain quite poor right through the rest of the week. Late this afternoon, though, the southwest corner of the province went under a special air quality statement, so not quite as elevated a warning as an outright warning is, but still worth noting that smoke will be problematic for a little while yet in that region. I'll show you for how much longer. So more on that and a look ahead to the rest of the week coming up. Let's take a look right now, though, through the Bathfitter Live Eye. Bathfitter, your bath and shower experts for more than 40 years. Not smoky, but perhaps a bit hazy out there and cloudy in Winnipeg. 27 degrees with the Humidex. It feels like 27. Light winds out of the northwest at 13 kilometers an hour. The pressure's dropping, and the humidity right now, Catherine, is 50%.
Thanks, Colleen. A Manitoba cabinet minister who criticized a sign language interpreter says she's focused on doing better and improving services for people with disabilities. At a news conference today, Accessibility Minister Nahanni Fontaine announced more than $800,000 for groups that help reduce barriers for people with disabilities. Fontaine came under fire over comments she made at an event last month. She told a staff member that she was thrown off by a sign language interpreter. Fontaine has repeatedly apologized for her remarks. Today, she says she and her department are making changes to increase accessibility within government.
Even though you think and believe that you're doing good, that you're doing a good job, there's always room to do better. And certainly, you know, this experience, like the way that I've always lived my life, is that when I have these missteps or these mistakes or these moments, I always try to find the teaching and the lessons in it, and then how to move better, or how to move forward in a better way, how to do better.
Fontaine says her department will have sign language interpreters at all public events, and the government will hire 2 dedicated interpreters to support all departments. She also says better enforcement is on the way to crack down on businesses who fail to meet provincial accessibility standards. More than a dozen food processors in Manitoba are getting the opportunity to expand their operations, all thanks to a funding boost from the government.
The funding helps them buy equipment and invest in new technologies. We're here to help them grow and be competitive as we find new and emerging markets around the world.
That is Agriculture Minister Ron Kostishin, who says the federal and provincial governments are putting forward a combined $6 million for 19 different companies. He made the announcement at the Maple Leaf plant in Brandon, one of the recipients of the funding. Aside from Maple Leaf, some smaller family-run food processors in places like Altona, Blumenort, and Eli will be getting a share of the money as well. Manitoba Public Insurance says vehicle theft is costing $40 million a year in damage and total replacement costs. The Crown Auto Insurance Corporation says it insures more than 950,000 vehicles, and an average of 4,000 are reported as stolen every year. Vice President and Chief Claims Officer John Bowering says the net cost to Manitobans for stolen vehicles will continue to climb as the cost of vehicles and repairs goes up. With July being Vehicle Theft Prevention Month, people are being reminded to take steps like parking in well-lit areas, never leaving vehicles running unattended, and putting valuables in the trunk where they're not visible. Dozens of Manitoba students are back in the classroom this week for a unique summer camp.
You're going to make an incision all the way down the right side.
Around 100 grade 6 to 12 students are taking part in the Biomedical Youth Program on the University of Manitoba's Bannatyne campus. Student volunteers are leading campers through a number of interactive sessions, including heart dissection, fingerprint analysis, DNA extraction, and an exploration of traditional Indigenous medicines.
It's like sort of like medical and science together. It's really cool.
It's not just a textbook subject. It's really about immersing them in some activities which really excite them. Kids love to sort of play around with things, and we get to do a lot of that here.
The goal is to introduce young Manitobans to biomedical and health sciences career and what each involves so they can make informed choices on their future careers. The camp is offered free of charge to students who are interested in science. Get ready to see more hydro workers and contractors trimming trees around lines. The Crown Utility says it's stepping up tree trimming and general vegetation management to help keep the system running smoothly. It says contact between trees and power lines is one of the most common causes of outages, responsible for 2,600 outages last year alone. That means you're likely to see workers going onto property to trim or remove trees and heavy machinery clearing brush in rural areas. Still ahead, Canada's premiers wrap up talks in Ontario.
We have a crisis in Canada about Donald Trump.
Trade and tariffs dominated the talks. We'll tell you how they concluded up next. Looking at the markets, crude oil closed flat. The loonie made positive gains. Gold futures lost $46. The TSX added 52 points. The Dow Jones jumped 507 points. And the Nasdaq closed 127 points higher. A 20-year-old man from Stewartburn is dead after a water truck crashed into the back of a gravel truck. It happened yesterday morning on the Trans-Canada Highway between Brandon and Carberry. RCMP say a gravel truck had turned east onto the highway and was getting up to speed when a water truck traveling east crashed into the back of the gravel truck. A 20-year-old passenger in the water truck died at the scene. The drivers of both vehicles weren't seriously injured. Everyone was wearing their seatbelts. RCMP continued to investigate. Canada's premiers met for the final day of their three-day summit in Ontario Cottage Country. They're working to shore up the economy with the removal of interprovincial trade barriers and to boost trade with other countries. Talks today shifted to healthcare and public safety. CTV's Rachel Aiello is in Huntsville with a summary of what was discussed and accomplished.
Premiers wrapped 3 days of talks about building up the economy and tearing down internal trade barriers united against a common enemy.
We have a crisis in Canada about Donald Trump attacking us. We're trying to protect our economy.
With a former ambassador who briefed premiers yesterday revealing today that reaching a deal by August 1st is highly unlikely.
It's complex and it may take longer, and I think it probably will.
One premier conceded that they'd now consider an agreement on sectoral irritants, such as autos and lumber, in the next 9 days, a win.
I mean, I'm watching Truth Social along with everyone else because things could change in 5 minutes.
Premiers also committed to taking at least one trade mission to another province or territory in the coming year.
We have our points of disagreement, but there are far more points of agreement in terms of how we're going to build our economies in our respective provinces.
And while the trade war with the U.S. dominated this week's discussions, today premiers also carved out time to tackle a pair of other pressing domestic issues. Public safety, including pushing the Prime Minister on bail reform.
We need to, greatly stiffen the sentence, not only for those repeat offenders, but for those that are bringing these poisonous drugs into our communities across Canada.
And strengthening Canada's strained healthcare system.
If we want to say that we're standing up to Donald Trump and we're never going to be the 51st state, let's make sure that our universal healthcare system is strong.
While Canada's premiers and the Prime Minister have come away from these talks largely on the same page, when it comes to fixing the immigration system, Premier Ford made it clear today he thinks the federal government has more work to do. Rachel Aiello, CTV News, Huntsville, Ontario.
We know since Donald Trump's announcement of a deal to reduce tariffs from 25% to 15% on imported Japanese goods, there's been some relief on the markets. But the question becomes, how does this play into not just Canada's negotiations, but the health of the auto industry? CTV's Abigail Beeman looks at the implications and the uncertainty.
CTV News caught up with the Canadian Automobile Dealers Association in between meetings on Capitol Hill. Hugh Williams has logged more than 30 with lawmakers and the U.S. administration and is feeling encouraged about a trade deal, but not for the August 1st deadline.
Senior senators, have given us the pathfinding that they're optimistic that we're going to have some framework of a deal that will resolve the trading problems between our nations, ideally by Labor Day.
He says it would be unreasonable for Canada to have an agreement that looks worse than the new U.S.-Japan deal that sees auto tariffs cut to 15% from 27.5%.
That deal has a lot of attention in the Senate and congressional leaders that we've been talking to, and I think that the prevailing view is that Canada should have a better deal.
President Trump is finally putting a stop to our country getting ripped off.
But this week, as a result of Trump's tariffs, General Motors reported a 35% decline in second quarter profits with more hard times ahead, and Stellantis a $2.7 billion net loss in the first half of the year.
We're down about 30% in exports already this year from Canada in vehicles.
Flavio Volpe says he's taken aback by the 15% the Japanese agreed to, and it wouldn't work for Canada.
It's a bad deal. Better to slog it out than to lock in bad terms in the long term.
But it's still a good, valuable piece of insight into what might be achievable and what's the U.S. kind of baseline minimum tariff that might have to stick.
And this afternoon, multiple reports that the European Union is heading towards a similar tariff deal with the U.S. than Japan, a 15% tariff on EU imports into the United States, including autos. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
3 miners are trapped underground at the Red Chris mine in northwestern British Columbia. BC Premier David Eby says the province's mining rescue teams are on site. The Premier added 2 of the men are from BC and 1 is from Ontario. They've been trapped since Tuesday morning. The Red Chris is an open-pit gold and copper mine about 1,700 kilometers north of Vancouver. A verdict in the sexual assault trial of 5 former World Junior hockey players is expected tomorrow. Dylan Dubé, Cal Foote, Carter Hart, Michael McLeod, and Alex Fermenton were on trial for an alleged sexual assault that happened in London in June of 2018. McLeod is facing an additional charge of being a party to the offense. The verdict will come from the presiding judge in the case. This after the jury was dismissed partway through the trial. A conviction could lead to a sentence of up to 10 years. All 5 of the accused have pleaded not guilty. Friends and relatives of 4 University of Idaho students delivered powerful statements of love and anguish as a judge sentenced the man who confessed to their killings to life in prison.
He took away how they made everyone feel safe, loved, and full of joy. He took away the ability for me to tell him that I love him and that I'm so proud of them. He took away who they were becoming and the futures they were going to have.
Brian Koberger admitted to the murders earlier this month in a deal to avoid the death penalty. Instead, he was sentenced to 4 life sentences without parole. He was pursuing a PhD in criminal justice at a school close to where the victims lived. Evidence showed he visited their neighborhood at least a dozen times before the murders. No motive has been given, and there's no indication he had a relationship with any of the victims. The UN World Food Program says people in Gaza are now living in famine-like conditions.
More than a third of the people are going for multiple days without any meal at all, without any food. We have up to 100,000 women and children are suffering from severe acute malnutrition.
It says almost 1/4 of Gaza's population, about 500,000 people, are affected. More than 100 aid organizations are calling on the Israeli government to end its blockade of Gaza. Israel says it is allowing aid to get through. A landmark ruling today from the International Court of Justice. Countries can be in violation of international law if they fail to protect the planet from climate change, and countries harmed by the effects could be entitled to compensation.
To respect and ensure the effective enjoyment of human rights by taking necessary measures to protect the climate system.
The UN's top court ruled that a healthy environment is a human right, and it means activists can bring lawsuits against countries for failing to comply. Today's decision is non-binding, but it is being hailed as a turning point for international climate law. The case was backed by over 130 countries.
What that does for us is it helps increase our capacity.
Feeding thousands of wildfire evacuees just got a little easier. We'll explain when we return.
And a hot start to the long-range forecast on Friday with a sunny high of 30 degrees. There is the risk of a thunderstorm to be expected Saturday. 29, a mix of sun and cloud, turning soggy Sunday. Showers quite likely, maybe even a thunderstorm, high of 26 degrees. Then brightening up and drying out Monday, Tuesday, sunshine or a mix of sun and cloud both days, and both days highs in the mid-20s.
Have a news tip? When you see news happening, let CTV News Winnipeg know. Text your tips, pictures, and videos to 10400. That's 10400. Message and data rates may apply.
A local organization is getting some help to end food insecurity from a Canadian country star.
This container is like 40 feet, right? It can store 24 pallet loads of food.
The Shania Twain Foundation donated $15,000 towards the purchase of the refrigerated food container. It will be used by Community Helpers Unite to store produce to use in even more meals for inner-city community members and wildfire evacuees at an evacuation center and at local hotels.
Currently, right now, out of our kitchen, we're producing over 6,000 meals daily just for the Red Cross evacuees, on top of the about 1,100 meals we're producing for community right now.
Community Helpers Unite says the container could help it increase that to 8,000 meals a day. The donation is in partnership with Climate Change Connection, which hopes to work with other groups to secure more containers and create a Winnipeg food hub. Gimli is marking a monumental day in its history. On July 23, 1983, an Air Canada plane ran out of fuel. The pilots were able to glide it to a safe landing on a decommissioned runway in the community. Gimli Glider Day is commemorating that event with special guests at an exhibit sharing the story and artifacts from that day. It was determined that the near disaster was the result of fuel being measured in pounds instead of kilograms.
CTV Skywatch weather brought to you by South Beach Casino and Resort. Visit southbeachcasino.ca.
CTV weather specialist Colleen Brady has your complete Skywatch weather forecast. Smoky couple days, Colleen. How are things looking for tonight?
Well, hazy for Winnipeg, and perhaps it may wind up being a little smokier out in Brandon. Brandon has just now been put under an air quality alert. I want to actually zoom in right into the southwest corner of the province because there are a few non-severe scattered thunderstorms just clipping places like Melita and Waskata, and those are two communities under that special air quality statement tonight issued late this afternoon by Environment and Climate Change Canada. Just enough particulate matter, fine particulate matter, showing up in wildfire smoke to put this area under that special air quality statement. So Environment Canada says that there should be a shift in the winds that should help to clear out that smoke, but not until Thursday evening. But even since the beginning of the show, you can see how many more areas are now under that alert, including the city of Brandon, all the way east, just to Portage La Prairie's doorstep, and then further south as well to the border. Meanwhile, Flin Flon under an outright air quality warning, close to the wildfires burning there. Over the border to northwestern Ontario, many communities, including Kenora, under that outright warning. Air quality there is not expected to improve until at least the end of the week. So that's not good news there. Otherwise, we had those thunderstorms, as I mentioned, just popping off right around the southwest corner of the province now. There is the outside chance of a shower very late this evening in Winnipeg and across the southeast. You can see here it pops up. There's not much to it if we even see it. Meanwhile, otherwise, sky conditions pretty quiet and dry albeit quite smoky in some areas up in the north. We get into Thursday morning, and not much change. Pretty quiet conditions for the most part here in the south. Temperatures will be like they were today, getting up into the mid-20s. Up in the north, you see quite clear there too overnight heading into Friday. Things start to change in the north. We do start to get some much needed precipitation moving in there. Meanwhile, we heat up into the low 30s here in the south. For tonight for Winnipeg, partly cloudy. It could be a little hazy at times. Winds light out of the north at 10 kilometers an hour. They'll shift a bit overnight, but they don't strengthen. 15 is the low, and very light winds for the commute tomorrow. 16 degrees, mix of sun and cloud. Again, it could get a little hazy. 25 is the high. Not much change in conditions. Mix of sun and cloud, hazy. Wind shifting coming out of the west, but still quite light at 10 kilometers an hour. The UV index for Thursday is 7 or high. Up into the north tonight, starting in the northeast. Cloudy or increasingly so for Churchill, dropping down to 9. Conversely, much clearer through Gillam, Island Lake, and over to Thompson. 9 overnight in Thompson. A mix of sun and cloud there tomorrow with a high of 23 degrees. Widespread smoke tonight and tomorrow for Flin Flon under that warning. 12 overnight. Otherwise, clear sky conditions for the rest of the region, but still quite smoky is what is certainly expected. 23, 25 degrees your highs tomorrow up in the northwest. A mix of sun and cloud for most areas. Partly cloudy tonight across the southwest. Brandon down to 10. Dauphin 9 overnight. Sunny and hazy around the region tomorrow with highs in the mid-20s. Winnipeg in the southeast, partly cloudy tonight. 15 for the city. A little bit cooler outside of Winnipeg, 12, 13 degrees. Mix of sun and cloud in Winnipeg, 25. A little brighter outside the city, but same temperatures, mid-20s and hazy. And varying amounts of cloud tonight across northwestern Ontario. Sunshine for Kenora and Dryden up into the mid-20s. A little cloudier, but a bit warmer in Fort Frances at 26. Our first weather photo shows those billowing clouds ahead of the storm that moved through East St. Paul on Monday. That photo is from Kelly. Great shot there. So is this one. Look at the beautiful colors over the sky. That is Holland, Manitoba, and that photo is from JC. Send us your weather photos to Winnipeg Weather at ctv.ca.
Ozzy Osbourne has died 5 years after announcing his Parkinson's diagnosis. But what exactly is Parkinson's, and how can you spot the signs? We'll explain next in Medical Watch. Manitoba's music community was rocked by tragedy earlier this month when 2 of its own died in a tragic collision on a Manitoba highway. Brendan Berg, the bassist of pop rock band Royal Canoe, and his partner Olivia Michalchuk, a fixture in the local music scene and a juror for the Polaris Music Prize, both died in the head-on collision. To honor them both, members of the Manitoba music scene have come out in spades for a blood drive, a very fitting tribute to the couple. Joining me now to share more is Jennifer Dirksen, a friend of the couple and one of the blood driver's organizers. Jennifer, thanks so much for being with us. And up top, I just wanted to share my deepest condolences to you and the entire music community.
Thank you.
So maybe let's start off by talking about Olivia and Brendan. What kind of people were they?
Olivia and Brendan were 2 of the sweetest, kindest, and most generous people I have had the pleasure of knowing. They were both very warm and open people and very loving friends and family members as well. And they really took care of everyone that they interacted with. Brendan was the kind of person who, when you ran into him, he would always welcome you with a smile and a very genuine, "How are you doing?" and often a very warm hug. And Liv was much the same, although a little more excitable sometimes, and just were always present and available for the people who needed them.
Well, the news was just so shocking, and there was such a tremendous outpouring of grief and love. And to kind of serve that, if you will, there was a community celebration of life at the Burton Cummings Theatre just a few days ago. What was that day like?
I found that day to be incredibly moving and incredibly difficult. It is a lot of work to pull off an event of that size in such short time when everybody involved is going through grief like this. But when we got to the day and the doors opened and we saw how many people came in and just how many fellow friends, family, and community members came to support, it was really heartwarming. The program itself, I think, was just absolutely beautiful and very thoughtful, and I think that everyone who attended really appreciated the opportunity to share in that moment together.
Well, and the grief just continues, of course, and this also inspired a way to honor them. I understand this blood drive actually started with Olivia's mother. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so basically blood donations were essential to trying to save Olivia's life. And in the days after, even the hours after this all happened, a lot of people were asking, what can we do? And so Donna made a Facebook post making the point that thanks to blood donations, Olivia was able to stay alive long enough for her family to see her again and say a proper goodbye. And so Donna said, if you want to do something to help, then donate blood. And so from that point, a bunch of friends and family started to organize this blood drive where we've set up a team where people can register as part of the team and donate kind of together, so that the Canadian Blood Services are keeping track of all the donations in Olivia and Brent's honor. And so that's kind of how it came about. And it's been good to have something tangible to do, I think, for people in this situation. A lot of people are at a loss given how sudden and tragic it is. But to have something that they can do that actually makes a difference in people's lives, I think is really helpful.
Well, and the blood drive was just launched last week. Anecdotally, I saw it all over my own Instagram, folks donating and tagging them and saying they were doing it in their honor. So from your point of view, I imagine the response has been quite overwhelming.
Yeah, we've had over 350 people sign up since it went live last week this time, and apparently we have over 150 units of blood donated so far on their behalf, with another 40 to 50 units coming this week. And I've also had a few friends go who anecdotally happened to be there at the same time as other friends of Brendan and Olivia's donating together. So I think it's also given another opportunity for some people to feel some togetherness as we're all kind of moving through this.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is an ongoing effort. Summer is a tough time for blood donations. Typically, folks tend to get busy and donations slow down. So if folks want to join this team, sign up. How can they do that?
You can join the team by going to Royal Canoe's website, royalcanoe.com/blood drive. Just going to double check and make sure royalcanoe.com/blood drive. And there's a page there that can give you instructions on how to join the team. If you've never donated before, how to sign up to donate. And if people aren't in a position where they're able to donate at this time, we're also super happy if people just keep sharing and letting their friends and family know that this is something that they could do to make things a little better in the future for others.
All right, well, we will leave it there. Jennifer, thanks so much for your time. And once again, just our deepest condolences to you.
Thank you.
Heavy metal rocker Ozzy Osbourne died Tuesday, about 5 years after announcing he had Parkinson's disease. Here are a few things to know about the disease. Parkinson's is a neurological disease that robs people of control of their movements. It usually appears after age 60, although sometimes it can develop earlier. Some early warning signs include stiffness, difficulty with movement, especially having a hard time starting to walk, a face that becomes expressionless, or a stooped posture. While the exact cause isn't known, Parkinson's develops when cells that produce dopamine begin to deteriorate and die. Experts believe genetic and environmental factors are behind the disease. There is no cure, but there are treatments, including medications that affect dopamine levels and surgically implanted tremor-blocking devices and physical therapy. A new study led by a University of Toronto professor links prescription weight loss drugs to higher rates of eating disorders in adolescent boys and men. Those who used the medication were more likely to report binge eating, purging, and loss of control while eating. Researchers say the risks for this often overlooked group needs more attention.
Medical Watch is brought to you by Manuke and Coster Denture Clinic.
We're hoping to bring a little bit of fun to Winnipeg.
Get ready to bring out your inner kid or your actual kid for a weekend of fun at the Forks. We'll have the details next in Spotlight.
Spotlight, sponsored by the Casinos of Winnipeg, presenting Brett Kissel.
The ongoing wildfire situation has prompted one of the Folklorama pavilions to pull out of this year's festival. The First Nations Pavilion will no longer be part of this year's lineup. Organizers with Nimu Egwa, the title sponsor, say it was a difficult decision. They do need to focus, though, their efforts on supporting those who have been displaced. The nonprofit works to support children in care, foster parents, low-income families, and others. As a result, the Brazilian Pavilion will be moved from week 1 to week 2. Folklorama runs August 3rd to 16th. Well, it's time to pull out your popcorn and beach chairs. The Gimli International Film Festival is underway tonight.
The way you dress up, it makes the people so happy.
That was a clip from Becoming Ruby, one of the local films screening at the festival. Attendees can also expect pop culture favorites, Icelandic films, and other works from around the world. The 5-day event runs today through Sunday. Visit gimlifilm.com for more information. Well, get ready for the ultimate summer playground. Game Fest is taking over the Forks this weekend. Enjoy all kinds of games, from giant inflatables to live music, local artists, and more. There will be non-stop games for the whole family, a pop-up market, circus, magic shows, and food trucks. Event organizers want to bring back the joy of play and make it an accessible event for all Winnipeg families.
Not everyone can afford to go to Hawaii or to Disneyland, so we're hoping to bring a little bit of fun to Winnipeg. You know, Winnipeg's a great city and we deserve great things.
We sure do. Visit Game Fest at the CN stage at the Forks from Friday to Sunday. For tickets and more information, check out gogamefest.com. Rumors of a Fleetwood Mac reunion have turned out to be true. Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham announced the reissue of Buckingham Nicks. It was released 50 years ago, and it's their only full-length album as a duo. The album has never been reissued and is not currently available on streaming platforms. Buckingham Nicks had little commercial success when it was released, but it did catch the attention of Mick Fleetwood, who invited the pair to join Fleetwood Mac a year later. The remastered version arrives September 19th. Netflix confirmed today that it's renewing its Addams Family spin-off series Wednesday for a 3rd season.
Wednesday Addams is here. It's Addams with 2 Ds, like padded room.
The news comes 2 weeks before the debut of season 2. Jenna Ortega is back in the title role of the spooky supernatural series, directed by Tim Burton. Returning cast members also include Catherine Zeta-Jones, Luis Guzman, and Fred Armisen. Wednesday currently holds the title of Netflix's most-watched English-language original series. And those midweek blues with MasterChef at 7, followed by Match Game, and cap off the night with Battle of the Generations at 9. It's all right here on CTV.
Depending where you are, it's unusual to see hail in summer, especially in this city. We'll tell you where the storm struck just ahead.
Women's clothing provided by RW & Company. Salon services provided by S&T Spa Salon.
Tonight, concert controversy.
We just don't feel that that's where Canadians want to go. And if this gentleman wants to promote that message, he's welcome to do that in his own country.
Where Parks Canada pulled the plug on a permit for an American musician, and why. Later on CTV National News.
24 degrees in Winnipeg right now. Cloudy, little hazy out there too. Winds out of the northwest at 13 kilometers an hour. And when you factor in the humidex, it feels like 27. The actual air temperature, the highest one, was 24. We only have to go back 19 years for the record for this day. 34.3 degrees, the record high for July 23rd for Winnipeg. Tonight down to 15, partly cloudy, hazy conditions expected on Thursday. Otherwise a mix of sun and cloud. 25, shooting up to 30 in the sunshine Friday. There's a risk of a thunderstorm. Hot start to the weekend Saturday. 29, mix of sun and cloud. Showers likely on Sunday, Catherine, maybe even a thunderstorm. 26 degrees, mid-20s to start off the week next week.
Thanks, Colleen. Finally tonight, they were plowing and shoveling this week in Mexico City. Can you believe it? A powerful hailstorm surprised people in the capital on Monday night. Children gleefully played in snow-like piles. Crews were deployed to clear blocked drains and tend to the storm's aftermath. Though summer storms are common this time of year, the sheer volume of hail was unusual. Mexico City's rainy season runs from May to October, with July typically the wettest month. That's not how we greet snow here in Manitoba.
No, it's not. It's different.
I like to see it through other folks' eyes. There's some wonderment to this kind of precipitation. We're just so used to it. We take it for granted.
There you go.
Very much for granted, especially in February when the days are short and the nights are long and cold.
But there was none today.
None today, and we're enjoying our summer weather right now. All right, that's going to do it for us. Remember, you can watch CTV News anytime on our website, ctvnewswinnipeg.ca, and be sure to join Taylor Brock for CTV News at 11:30. Good night.